This game features the Steamroller 2015 Fire Sport scenario. Fire Sport scenario features Kill Box. You can dominate the friendly flag for 1 control point. You can control the enemy flag for 1 control point, or dominate the enemy flag for 2 control points. The enemy objective is destroyed or removed from play, that is also worth 1 control point. The first player to earn at least 5 control points wins the game.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston. Today I'm playing Hierarch E-Severius. This is a list that I shamelessly stole from Stem the Tide on the forums. I went ahead and I made a few alterations to it, just to make it suit me better. The most notable one being swapping out the Temple Flame Guard with a unit of Errants, as well as the Errant Seneschal, so that way they have Hunter. Otherwise, there are the usual 2 Reckoners, a Redeemer. They're all in his battle group in order to benefit from awareness. We've got the Blessing of Vengeance to use as an Arc Node.
Pokey here. I decided for this week I'd go ahead and run Mordikaar. It really is a fun list. A Despoiler, Archidon, Krea, decent beast load. They can kind of do a wide variety of things. Then I have, of course, the beast handlers, the Nihilators. Figured I'd give the Keltarii a try. Figured between with him, they'd be able to do pretty good, especially under his feet. The Acuri, so I have some kind of armor cracking. Void Spirits because, well, they just work well with him. And the Willbreaker and the Swamp Gobbers. Alright, I go first. So I put my battle group in the middle with my caster also in the middle, right next to the Krea. That way I can use her Animi of Paralytic Aura to hopefully keep him alive from due to shooting anyways. Then I arrange the infantry to where they're going to be close enough to my caster that he can cast spells on him turn 1. He does have some pretty decent spells, such as Ghost Walk, Banishing Ward, Hollow, all good spells, and they are unit slash model, so might as well make it to where I can put them on a infantry model if needed. Ended up making sure that he had line of sight to them from the beginning, so that's why you see me slide him back, so he can see the models he's going to cast spells on. The Void Spirits are on the ends of the lines, mostly because, well, I'm hoping they can do something out there. Protector does have a lot of magical attacks, so magical weapons, so I doubt they're going to survive too long. And of course the beast handlers go behind the lines.
My deployment was relatively straightforward. I have an ice wall directly in front of me, and that's where I'm intending for Sevi to hide for the entirety of the game. To his side is going to be the Redeemer, again keeping a nice central position. We're going to have the Reckoners on either flank. Then we're going to have the Blessing shore up that opposite flank there. And the thought process behind having him go there was that I'm expecting him to throw out Hollow, and I'm going to want to get rid of that to deny him souls. Well, Hollow gives out tough as well, and the Nihilators are already tough. So I'm betting that he's going to put Hollow on the Keltarii, so that way he gets the benefits of both sides of the spell. And then for my advanced deploy, I just have the Errants and the Wracks. The Errants are going pretty much straight in the center. They'll use the first turn to kind of move to whichever side I feel like they're needed on.
Alright, turn 1, pretty simple. It's just everything runs, gets spells cast, gets animi put out there. It's a very basic first turn. It's all about the setting up of future turns. So I start with the Krea, have her walk forward, put out her animi, activate the Swamp Gobbers. They move forward, they put the little ring out there, a little smoke cloud for, so hopefully I can't get shot in the face turn 1. I then activate the Despoiler. He riles for 1 and then runs. But not getting out of the cloud, that way he can at least keep his keep some kind of defense bonus from being both in the cloud and up on the hill. Now I'm going to activate my caster. He's going to cast Ghost Walk on the Nihilators because they're behind the forest. Hollow on the Keltarii. And then Banishing Ward on the Archidon. Mostly because it's just a matter of getting the different spells put out there. It wasn't really... I probably should have actually sat on some, but it's turn 1. I felt safe, not that... I felt safe that he couldn't reach out and touch me. So I just basically did it as for more of a reminder to myself that he does have quite a bit of spells out there that I could cast. So now I'm activating the Keltarii. They end up running forward. Not too far forward, of course, because I didn't want them to get shot in the face. No reason to collect souls on turn 1 when they should be able to be usable models. Now the Nihilators activate and they run. Thanks to Ghost Walk, they don't care about the forest. Now the Archidon advances. It riles for 2 and then runs. Doesn't really run. It might as well just say it just riled for 3. But that's what I ended up doing. I said I riled for 2 and then ran. Just on the safe side. But he is in the cloud and he is towing the hill. So he's kind of doing exactly what the Despoiler was doing.
So normally my turn 1s are so boring that I can usually take the time to pontificate on the matchup. And that actually wasn't really the case so much here, as you're going to see. But this is a list that I found is very well rounded. I really like it into a lot of different matchups, especially a lot of the troll matchups that are very popular in the meta nowadays. But I never played it into Skorne. So I've gone ahead and I'd asked Pokey for a Skorne game, and right up to style he gives me something completely different than what I expected. I really thought I was walking into this game, there were going to be like 4 Titans on the table at least, and instead I'm up against this very strange Mordikaar list, of all things. And here what we've had happen is the books come up, he's put Flames of Wrath, I believe it's called, on the Errants to give their crossbows fire. So that way they can start shooting into those Nihilators, and anyone who passes their tough check is still going to be lit on fire. So you have that kind of option to double dip on the damage for them. But it was very interesting seeing this particular setup because my army is actually quite good against a lot of single wound mass infantry. I mean, I've got Influence, I've got the ability to get rid of Hollow with Hex Blast, I have Admonisher, I have my feet. So really I was actually a lot more confident going into this matchup than I expected. And it just ended up actually being a much more difficult matchup you're going to see here than, you know, there's no spoilers on there. There's quite a lot of back and forth on this. And there is a bit of a boo-boo up there. In order for the flame ability to work, the book has to have them in his command range, and that Errant who shot that one Nihilator actually was not. And that Nihilator is probably going to die here in a second, so it's not going to matter. But I did want to fess up there and point that out. So here we have the Redeemer. He's just kind of the Clark Enchanted Battle, I think just on him, of all things. And then he's just going to try to trundle up and start lobbing rockets. And I hit the jackpot for drifts. I mean, every drift here was just perfect. So I ended up getting quite a few Nihilators with that first drift. And then we're shooting the same guy again. this time it drifts, I believe, maybe just on the two of them. And there, my cheating fire takes care of itself. Again, apologies. Now we'll put a final shot kind of in the back there. I'm just checking to see I have the 3-inch line of sight to the woods on them. But that's probably half the Annihilator's dead, so not too bad for turn 1. And Sevi comes up, he's just going to put Holy Ward on the Errants to bump him up to defense 14. This is another one of those where Holy Ward is very, very good on the Temple Flame Guard because of the combination of set defense and that extra defense bonus. But I just kind of wanted the Errants for that advanced deploy. They have the double attacks with the quick work going on. Here I'm just trying my luck against the Keltarii. They've got blade work, so their defense ridiculous. And nothing's really actually hitting them, but any guy I can kill before that silly feet turn counts. So, and then the Blessing, he's just kind of sneaking up there, be straight behind them but facing forward, and that's what I'm declaring there, and that's just so you can defensive strike anyone who gets too near, maybe keep an Errant alive. And now we've got the last Vassal running on up, and that's my turn.
Alright, maintenance phase. Pulling back my Fury. Was smart with my Fury allocation last turn. I don't upkeep the Banishing Ward on the Archidon. I do upkeep Hollow using the Despoiler special ability. I don't pick up the Smoke Ring from the Gobbers just yet, because I need to have different models that the ring is either on top of or underneath. So just gonna wait a little bit, move some models around, and hopefully be able to pull that ring out. Right now, with some pretty decent scatters on Gaston's part, I'm down a couple Annihilators between that and failing to roll tough checks. So now I'm trying to figure out how can I get in there to lock down the Protectorate army over there. I could run in, but that's kind of giving some guys away. I was hoping I can charge in and maybe kill 1, 2, and then lock them in with some of the other guys. So first things first, to get this all started, I activate the Despoiler. He advances. He casts his Animus of Arcane Suppression, which is any spells and upkeep at enemy costs double to cast while within 10 inches of him. So that's kind of why he's as far up as he is. Now I activate the Swamp Gobbers. They advance their full distance. Well, mostly their full distance. The other guy kind of, to get him his full distance, I just moved him around a little bit. They put their cloud out, putting the protection back around the Despoiler. And now it's the, do I try it or do I not try it? So I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I'm going to activate my caster. I'm going to cast the spell Revive, which allows me to return one model to a grunt, one grunt to a unit. They must be within my control area and within 3 inches of another model in the unit. So I bring back the first Annihilator, making sure he's within command range and within 3 inches of another model, and also my control area. Drop another 3 to cast it again. As you can tell, I'm able to get some of my models a little closer up front. And then I pop Feet. For Mordikaar, that's all friendly models get +3 defense. And Poltergeist. which is Poltergeist is if you miss me with an attack, you get pushed D 3 inches away. Doesn't matter if it's ranged or melee. That's what you get hit. That's just what happens. Nihilators activate. They get the charge order. The one guy runs. He runs out of the forest. He charges the Errants. Checking where everybody goes. Gotta make sure everybody stays in my control area. So he charges the other Errant. Once again, trying to lock as many of those guys down as possible. Last thing I want is those guys free to do whatever they want. Like move forward and shoot things. And so they're just pretty much running up to try to lock in the what are those, the special character unit that Protectorate has. And the others just move forward to get in range of the command range. I roll to hit. I roll the damage, and he self-sacrifices, so that stops my berserk. I then roll and failed the damage. The Void Spirit moves forward. Once again, he's not going to do too much. My hope is to potentially get him into the backfield or get him to where he's going to be able to do something to somebody. The Archidon activate next. They advance forward. Now they have harpoons, which means if I can successfully hit somebody at range 8, the model takes a normal POW from the range weapon, and they get dragged in. But I'm not close enough, and with their wrap being as low as it is, figured probably best not to attempt it. Not yet, anyways. So now the Archidon are going to activate. Not the Archidon, the Keltarii activate. They take the charge order. So I get 2 that charge in, trying to stay out of the defensive strike range of the one light jack there. And seeing as how I got the 2 that charge, the rest kind of run up. I go to swing. And, with the ones that actually charged. And here's where I made a big mistake with the Keltarii. The Keltarii actually have reform after their action. So I should have actually, instead of activating the Krea, I should have actually done their reform and moved them further into the lines to keep Gaston's Errants further back and away from me. That's my turn.
So this is where his turn actually became a big pain for me because of that feat. And I don't have any sort of real mat fixing or accuracy fixing in my army. I just kind of, what you have is what you get. And so that +3 defense is actually really going to mess with me here. And I'm actually a little bit fortunate that there are 2 models that are currently outside of his feet. That Keltarii, 3, I guess, the 2 Void Spirits, 1 on either flank, and the Keltarii that's down there. And that Keltarii who is out of his feet is actually going to be a big deal for me, because he's also unengaged. And so what I'm going to be able to do here is get rid of Hollow, like right off the bat. And I'm just trying to deny him souls. I don't want him to start reviving and to start out-reviving me. So the book comes forward, it puts up the Flames ability again. Civi goes ahead, pulls off the Wrack, hits Hex Blast onto the one guy who's outside of feet, and blows him away. The downside is he was also the one who is unengaged, and possibly I could actually hit with my gun. And after that, there's really no good targets to shoot. So we go ahead and decide that, discretion is the better part of valor, and just camp all that focus. But I am trying really hard to find something to do with it. I really am. So the other thing that we're going to do here is pop feat. And Sevi has a feat that's either amazing or does nothing. and a lot of it is just depends on how well you know your opponent's army and what abilities they have up and running. So his feat lets me take over D3 plus 3 of his models. And there are a lot of restrictions that go along with it. I can't just grab them willy-nilly. In this case I get 6 of them, and they have to be grunts is one of the specifications. So I can't grab unit leaders, but I can say grab the guys who are engaging my front line, turn them around, have them start attacking his guys. And so what we're going to try to do here is that now that his guys have become my guys, they're no longer affected by the feat, they're no longer engaging me. So we're going to try to shuffle them up and into his guys, so that way when they do miss and they get pushed back into another model. And my goal here is to make little clumps of guys, and especially the ones who are tough, the Nihilators. You know, when they get knocked down, now I have this Redeemer who can just pop them and get, 3-in-1 blast, things of that nature. And so now we see, his feet starting to come into play. But the other side of that is I'm getting some back arc bonuses too when I decide I want to start attacking my guys. And I'm actually doing a really good job rolling attack dice with his guys. This has been very accurate. And another one bites the dust. So the ultimate goal also is to use his guys to get pushed around and to use them to do sort of the ones that I'm less likely to hit, and then have my own also lower mat guys, the Errants are mat 7, go and attack the ones who I've taken over who I'm more likely to hit. So that way I'm kind of double dipping on getting rid of his feet and still making progress on attacking and killing his army. And this turn did take up a lot of time. I think ultimately I might have spent maybe 20 minutes just kind of thinking it all out. And that can get kind of dangerous, especially when you're on the clock like this. And that's something where a lot of practice, makes a big difference. So here we have the bodyguards rolling on in. And go ahead and miss the first Annihilator, but we crack the Void Spirit, which is very important to me, because we don't like Void Spirits. And it is a bit of a shame that I didn't have the Errant Seneschal go for the other Void Spirit just with his crossbow, because he's got Hunter, he can see through the woods. That just didn't occur to me at the time. And he's currently unengaged actually because I own that particular Keltarii. I just haven't gone with him yet. The other thing I'm trying to do is be a little bit respectful of his war beasts. Even though the Despoiler and the Archidon aren't exactly the powerhouse that, say, the Bronzeback is, they're still heavies. He still has access to Enrage, and so they can still get a lot of work done. It's not like I have mechanics. So, here we have the Errants. They are just walking around. And we're just going to hope maybe for a couple lucky quick works here. Again, we have that fire ability up, so anyone that doesn't die, passes their tough check is still going to be lit on fire, which is a very nice bonus for us. So going over here, swinging on my own guy, end up knocking him down and passing a tough check. And then again correcting that command range of the book for the flames again. So just slowly working my way through his whole army. Very happy that Hollow is not up, or else he would be having a soul fest going on over there. Yep, this is where I have the Redeemer come up. I did make some boo-boos where I wasn't able to get the line of sight that I wanted. So I've got 2 knockdown Nihilators there. But with a little bit of nudging, I was able to go ahead and kill my own guy instead. I don't quite remember what happened there. So now we have the Blessing come up. Again, he's mat 9, so the idea was that he's got a slightly better mat. He's going to be able to do a little bit more. But that was going to be not the case. Now we just have the Reckoner come up and he blows away one of the guys that got taken over. Again, this is where I probably should have had the Errant Seneschal go and pop the other Void Spirit, maybe save myself some pain later on in the game. But instead he went up and he killed himself a Keltarii as well. And finally we're going to have the final Vassal move over. Both of them, they're going to go ahead and put Enliven onto the Reckoners, just in case. It's always a good safety first. That Reckoner is going to do a great job just blowing away one of the Archidon. And that'll be my turn.
Okay, one word. Ouch. That hurt a lot. Yeah, it hurt a lot. To lose all those Keltarii and not gain any souls from it is painful. So now I'm just trying to do my maintenance phase, trying to pick up, just trying to pick up all my little tokens, get them all out of the way. Hoping my his caster would have been close enough for Arcane Suppression, but no such luck. Now I gotta try to figure out, now that my feat's done, what do I do? How do I fix this? How do I get around the fact that I got some things that are dead, dying, gone from the table for now? A lot of time being chewed up on the clock right now, trying to figure out what to do. So I'm going to activate the Nihilators first. They're going to just kind of shimmy around, the ones that can anyways. Then there's 2 that are knocked down. They're just going to forfeit their actions to gain movement and stand up. Trying to do my best to lock the different guys down. No real reason to charge in. I didn't really have many of the guys that could actually make the distance for charging. But I was attempting to lock as many people down as possible. Once again, locking them down. Trying to keep them back so I can get something, the Keltarii move forward. And, I'm able to swing, hit, do some damage, and he is, once again, self-sacrificing other models, so my Berserk does not continue. It's a very smart play. It's just, it's hard to get, when you count on Berserk, or you're hoping to count on Berserk, and your opponent has a way around it, makes it kind of tough to figure, to get around. But as long as I'm removing models, I guess that's all it really counts. So now the few remaining Keltarii activate. I think I'm down to 4. They activate, they advance. And of course, I'm forgetting that they have immunity free strike right there, so I was trying to make sure they didn't, he didn't get a free strike from anybody. And in a minute here, I'll remember that they have immunity to free strikes. It'd probably be a good idea if I would have remembered that ahead of time, because I could have got a little further back to where I wanted to be. So they swing kind of 50-50 with them. You know, some are hitting, some are killing, some are not hitting, some are not hitting, and then, you know, whatever. And here's where I remember my reform, so I can reform in. Thank goodness for reach weaponry. Now the Archidon are going to activate. Forgetting that I can't see through the objective, so I can't declare the one guy as a target. So then I go with the CRA potential for the guys on the one Reckoner. Pile 12. I believe it was a 2 or 3 man CRA. I think it was 2. Now he's trying to figure out, does he want to get closer to me or back away from me so I can't hit him? With the potential of the Archidon. So now the other 2 are going to attempt to shoot and kill off a choir member. It's only 1 out of 4. He still only has 3 jacks. 4 jacks, but only 3 of them really need it for battle. And then the Archidon activates, moves forward to be on the hill, casts 2 for lightning strike on the Despoiler. The Despoiler then activates. No, measuring. Gotta measure how far things are away. Gobbers activate first. I need to just basically slide the 1 around. Thank goodness for speed 6, because he's going to be able to get to where he needs to, which is over on the far side. Putting the smoke cloud down. Actually, for once, actually doing something with the Willbreaker. He puts up Puppet Master on the Despoiler. Krea activates, moves up, puts up her Paralytic Aura again. Beast Handlers activate. I figure I'm going to be doing a lot of different things, so 1 goes ahead and enrages the Despoiler. 1 conditions the Krea to remove the extra 2 Fury. And I believe it is also done from the Archidon, but I can't quite tell from this angle if I pulled beads. The Despoiler then charges the 1 guy by himself. He graciously gives me a marker so I can see where I'm at. I boost it to hit. And of course he sack pawns. I buy another attack. I boost my second attack. And he sack pawns again. And then my third attack, I puppet strings, able to hit him, and should be enough to kill him, which allows me to create a Void Spirit, which is nice because, well, it just allows me to create another model. What I didn't read though was that I don't get Lightning Strike to go off because, well, I removed it from play. I didn't get it to the condition needed, but I still get the Void Spirit. And then I go and I buy a tail attack, trying to take out another one of the Errants. Now I activate my caster, and bring back one of the Archidon and the one with the Keltarii. Mostly, once again, for tying up models. The Keltarii is hopefully going to provide a roadblock to keep the Reckoner from moving forward, hitting the Despoiler. And then the other one, the Archidon, is going to hopefully be able to stand there and, you know, not allow the Reckoner to move too far forward. Activating the Void Spirit, he is not close enough to get the boost from being in Mordikaar's control area, because Mordikaar has a Void Lord, which allows him to, which allows Void Spirits to gain boosted attack rolls while in his control area. I now activate the other Void Spirit, the one I just freshly created, and my intent is to move it forward to try to lock both models down, but I don't get close enough to lock the his Arc Node Jack down. And now I'm trying to place it to where I'm only facing the one direction, and that's my go.
So at least one plan went pretty well, which is that the combination of Holy Ward, self-sack, and then Despoiler wanting to make a Void Spirit actually worked out really well in that it kept him from sprinting backwards. So I'm basically looking to net myself a free Despoiler here, amongst other things. The downside is I now have these two very annoying Void Spirits in my grill that I'd really like to get rid of. Then on the other flank, things are a little bit tricky. I've got these Nihilators that are kind of screening the Archidon, and I'd really like to be able to put my Reckoner so that he can like beat up a good 4 of those. Would be really nice, just to kind of get those Weapon Masters out of the way. And I also have to be pretty concerned about the Archidon coming in and cleaning up as well. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to have Rhoven. He and his Honor Guard are going to come up, and they're going to go bash some faces in. So they get themselves an Archidon and Annihilator, and the other one toughs it. So that's a pretty good start. So at the moment I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with the whole mess that is my right flank. So we start with the Seneschal. He goes ahead and he kills himself a Keltarii. Which, this is my first time playing against Keltarii. Those guys are really good. Like, kudos Skorne. You guys got a really good unit. So this is my Errant taking about 8 free strikes as he walks back into formation. Sadly, he does not make it. And then I'm trying to do some super clever things here, where I had set myself up to take 2 quick works and then kill 4 Keltarii. But what actually ends up happening is I take a free strike from not looking where I'm doing, and that kind of goes that plan right there, because I wanted one Errant to kill him and shoot the other guy in the side, then that Errant to kill the other guy in the back and shoot him in the side. And it would have been beautiful if I had been a little bit smarter with my positioning. But as it is, not a big deal, because we're still able to fit the Reckoner into the gap. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to bring home some Despoiler bacon. And so he's just walking up and he's swinging on him like a boss. And he ends up killing him with 1 focus to spare. So rather than camping that and maybe taking advantage of the bond, I instead just decide to use it to kill another Keltarii. That's a hint. When you have a bonded Reckoner with especially with E-Severius, that bond is awesome, and you should hang on to it. It lets you cancel a damage roll. So this is Heavy going. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Redeemer going. And he's trying to just put an aim shot into an Archidon, and he needs a 7 to hit, and is just not getting that 7. And not getting the blast damage either. So my whole plan to kind of clear out the Nihilators was to actually land that shot, first of all, and then use the blast damage to kill that Nihilator in front, that middle one in the 3. And then I want the Reckoner to be standing right there so he can get to a bunch of the Archidon. And I'm trying to use Sevi's gun, I'm trying to use the Redeemer's gun to try to bounce Admonisher shots around, and it is just not happening for me. So instead I end up knocking down the Nihilator on the end, and now my Reckoner doesn't really have a very good landing spot. So we go ahead and we enliven him rather than going for that next shot, because I mean, even if the Reckoner gets in there, he's going to do some damage to the Archidon, but he's going to revive him and attack, and he's got the Archidon over there as well. So then we get the Blessing of Vengeance to go. He takes a swing on the Void Spirit, who is corporeal, and misses, so he gets pushed. And then I have my little Vassal do his Lightning Bolt, which actually hits and kills him. So go Vassal, you rock. Of course, the original game plan was to have the Blessing succeed in his hit, and then the Vassal walk base to base with the Reckoner in combat with the other Void Spirit and Lightning Bolt him to try to go for a 2-for-1 deal. But for the most part, my 2-for-1 deals are not exactly paying off today. So now we just kind of sandwich the Reckoner in as best he can, and he attacks whatever's near him. So bit by bit, we're slowly starting to work through them, but that's still a fair amount of infantry left on the table. And now we've got the book coming forward. I really want him to do no spells to try to force back Mordikaar. I feel like I'm forced to do no knockdown because of the Archidon's crit pitch.
Okay, this has been a very brutal fight. I feel I'm on the bad side of this attrition battle, but I don't feel too bad. He still does have all of his jacks are still fully functional. So far, I've basically only taken out most of his infantry. Not a good thing for me, but I still feel pretty decent about this. He hasn't been able to go against my caster yet. He hasn't been able to actually go for the objectives yet. So, so far, I'm still feeling good about this scenario. Unfortunately, with the wall being placed the way it was, not a lot I can do about trying to get to his caster the typical way, which is, bringing people up and doing stupid things with them and then essence blasting them to death. I forget that the Krea has... I know that the Krea has paralysis, but I forget that the paralysis only works on living models. So that's why she moved forward and she was pointing, and now there's a token behind the Reckoner. My thought was, great, I can drop him down to defense 7 and make it so much easier for everything to hit. And, well, it's not quite the case. And we find that out in just a second. After I activate the Nihilators first, they do their little bits trying to roll to do some kind of damage. Hitting, damaging, blah, blah, blah. I think all I end up doing is scratching the paint on the Reckoner. It moves backwards. Now we're just trying to figure out where it can be placed. And of course, the Krea also puts a Paralytic Aura, which increases defense and arm for anything there. And they put their gobbers move forward. They put the little ring up. Pretty much the same thing they've been doing all game. which is not too bad. They're only a point, so I activate my caster. He moves forward. He brings a guy back. Actually, two guys. So the first guy, try to get him as far forward as possible. And then the other guy, putting him in the back arc. That way I can hopefully start getting somebody in the backfield. You know, try to get some of these backfield guys. And that's pretty much my caster's turn. He's towing the hill behind the cloud, so I can't be shot directly. He'll have to kind of come around the side a little bit. So now I'm activating the Archidon. They've taken the charge order. Charging those in that can go in. Once again, I was thinking that, hey, I have him on the defense 7. This should be really easy to hit. Snake eyes to fail. But unfortunately, the one guy fails to hit the Hierophant in the back. Then start rolling out the rest of it. I thought I didn't need anything else, but I only needed 5s to hit. And it was dice minus 7. Kind of a moot point for most of the rolling to hits, because I rolled high enough to hit regardless of the mistake of paralysis. Activate the Willbreaker. He puts up Potent Master. Beast Handlers advance forward. They condition the Krea and then enrage the Archidon. The Keltarii activate. They do their quick bit of nothing. The Archidon then activates, charges the other Reckoner. Needing 6s to hit at POW 17, so she like dice minus 1 or 2. So doing, you know, little points here and there with each of the attacks. And then the Void Spirit activates, moves back, does his little boo, I'm scary. Then he rolls to hit and ends up taking out the support model.
So I told you all that you're in for a game, and talk about turning this thing around. He managed to knock out the Cortex and the melee weapon on both my Reckoners. Just like that. And all of a sudden the tables are like starting to turn now, and there's basically two different options here, and the options are dictated by the clock. He's down to about 30 seconds, I'm down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 minutes. And so, attrition-wise, it's not unreasonable to think that the Blessing of Vengeance can do the lion's share of the work against that Archidon. It's a relatively soft piece. They maybe have a couple Errants come and finish it up. And then on the other side, I still have Rhoven. I still have, you know, those two bodyguard guys. And then Sevi himself can get work done, as well as the Redeemer in melee. So, it's not a horrible thing to consider that I have to kill, 5 Archidon and an Archidon. And that should put me well enough ahead on attrition to just kind of tank out the rest of the game. But, like I said, we're getting really low on clock, so why tank out the rest of the game when you can just go ahead and put the Fear of Menoth into your opponent? And so, we're going to have the ability to take about 4 shots on Mordikaar, provided we can get this all worked out right. And that'll be an assault shot from the Errant Seneschal, 2 Hex Blasts through the Arc Node, and then a gun through the Arc Node as well from Sevi. So what we're doing here right now is trying to just kind of free up a couple of his Paingivers. And so I've had the Errant aim, he's not engaged with the Archidon, and then swing on the final Keltarii, He obviously missed, because then he was just going to take his quick work aiming into that Paingiver there. But why would that possibly work? So now we went ahead, we had the Reckoner go, and the Reckoner was actually able to kill one of the Archidon just kind of within his normal weak melee attack. The book's moving forward, he's finally doing no spells, that was him taking a couple free strikes. And then this is the Redeemer, again trying to shoot up some of those Paingivers. So the shot scatters, he's got the paralytic aura up, so the blast damage doesn't really affect anybody. And then we have Vassal, tried again. And this time it actually goes perfectly and gets the two Paingivers that I didn't like. So that solves that problem right there. Now we just make sure we got some line of sight for that Errant. And at the start of the turn there was kind of a focus allocation issue. I could either double boost the Hex Blasts to hit, or I could spend one to run the Blessing up there. Another thing that the Errant Seneschal did is he called to sacrifice the Errant that was there, so that way he would avoid the free strike. So he's doing his assault shot, which unfortunately misses. And apparently Mordikaar has Ghost something another annoying and pushes me away. So now we're taking the Blessing. He's going to take a free strike from the Keltarii, which he cares absolutely nothing about. And he's just going to walk on up, make sure he's got line of sight to Mordikaar as well. Then we're going to pull off the Wrack, we're going to use the Hierophant, and time to go to town. So, first boosted Hex Blast hits. It's a nice POW 15 thanks to the bond. And it does about 7 damage onto Mordikaar. And then we'll hit him with the next one, which will also hit. And boost some of that damage. Takes him down to 2. So now I have a choice with my Admonisher shot. The Willbreaker is right there, and Mordikaar's the closest model to him. So we go ahead and we shoot the Willbreaker because he has a lower defense, and it's a POW 10 no matter what. The downside is that after it arcs, Mordikaar goes ahead and transfers it to the Krea. Now here's where I was kicking myself. So if I'd had the book put the Flames of Wrath on Sevi, then Mordikaar would be on fire with 2 health and no transfers right now. As it is, I have to just pretty much wrap up my turn. I'm going to end up passing back to him with Mordikaar just barely surviving and me a little bit aggravated about it. In the meantime, Rhoven and his bodyguard are going to continue to earn their keep by being awesome. They walk over, they kill Nihilator, who's in the way, and start swinging on a couple of Archidon, and they kill 2 of them. Or kill one and put one on fire, and he'll just burn out next turn.
Alright, this is my 5th turn. I don't got much time. I barely have just enough time to get through my maintenance phase, checking for fire, upkeeping spells, and that's pretty much my turn.